better daily, where we work hard in our minds, bodies, and our spirits to become 1% better every single day. Download the app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.life to catch the video version of these podcasts. Here's your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
What is up, Betterment family? Welcome to Better Daily Live. Today is Monday, and Mindset Monday is one of my favorite days of the week. This is your host, Alex Van Houten, and today our mindset is fear not. I'm really excited about this mindset. It's going to be awesome. This is Thanksgiving week, though, so I'm going to start every live this week by telling you something that I'm thankful for, and I'd love to hear from you, by the way. What are you thankful for? Good morning, Pat. Good to see you this morning. What is something that you're thankful for? I'll read it out here to our live audience and also to the shortcast audience when this comes out for them as well, because I think it's important to talk about what we're thankful for and to recognize those things and have them spoken. Good morning, KT. Good to see you this morning. So one of the things that I'm extremely thankful for is the people in my life who have spoken powerful things to me about this stage of fatherhood. So you might have heard me say before, particularly if you're part of our threads and whatnot, that the stage of parenting is really hard. And I don't think parenting ever gets any easier. I have the good fortune of being connected to clients who have grandkids and have been there, done that, got that t-shirt with regard to small children and middle-sized children and teenagers and adult children. And so what I hear is things never get easier as a parent. They just change. They're hard in a different way, right? So I'm so thankful for those of you. There are some of you even listening right now who have been a part of this process for me, but there are even those who aren't listening to this right now who've been a part of this process for me. I'm so thankful that I have people in my life who say, Alex, I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, but this is a very special and important time in life. Don't miss it. When you're in the humdrum and everything's going on, like, take a moment, think, like, remember this time and drink it in and appreciate it, because they're never this young again. And that could be true of any stage of parenting. You know, one of the powerful things about seeing yourself in genetic form growing up in front of you is that, you know, they're only 2 for a year, and they're only 3 for a year, and they're only 30 for a year, and your grandkids are only young so long, right? So thank you so much. If you're one of those people, thank you for being one of those people who speaks that into my life and makes me present and cognizant. I try really hard to do that myself, but one of the cool things about being in community with other amazing people who are working to become better themselves is that spirit, that ethos makes you guys trustworthy in my book. And so when you say that, I listen and I appreciate you very much. Pat says, I'm thankful for Jesus. Amen. We're going to talk about him today, so get excited about that. He also says that the kids get easier when they move out, so I'm going to take that to heart. Only 18 to 20 years left. All right, got it. I'm just kidding. The youngest one, man, he's kicking our butts. That 2-year-old, he's stubborn and recalcitrant and all of the above. He's a wonderful person, and he's super hilarious, but golly, that kid, he has a will like no other. He's going to be a leader someday. We're just hoping he's a leader for the good. So anyway, today's mindset is fear not. And this mindset comes from a great conversation that I had with a client recently about some things that he's struggling with in his workspace. And it reminded me of a time when I felt like I'd gotten gut punched at work. I didn't actually get punched. That might have been more fun. I enjoy a good sparring match, a few good kicks to the head now and then from my mixed martial arts background. But getting gut punched when something at work hits you in the face and all of a sudden you realize, whoa, like, I'm in a precarious space here. I need to tread lightly and I need to be careful about my way forward because many things hinge on this, right? And that feeling is fear. That feeling is when all of your higher functions, they disappear and you find yourself in your own head having conversations. Have you ever done that before? Where there's this talk you have to give, maybe it's with your boss, or maybe it's with a family member, or maybe a spouse, and there's this thing that you guys need to talk about, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. And so you're playing out in your own mind. Maybe even if you're a little crazy while you're driving, you're talking as if you're having a conversation with them right there, and you're talking through all the different ways that this might go. You're like, well, if I respond in anger, this is how that's going to go. And if I say this thing, that's probably how this is going to go. But this is what I really want to say, even though it's probably not the right thing to say. Right. That's fear. And what's really interesting about fear is that when you're in that space, when you're in that place where your heart rate comes up, your blood vessels dilate, all the blood stops flowing to your brain so much and more to your extremities, right? It's actually a really good process and system. What it does is it shuts down your ability to think about the future and helps you deal with the here and now. That's a really powerful thing when you have to, like I like to say, fight a mountain lion. If you've got to fight a mountain lion or you got to run from a mountain lion, you better have you can't be thinking about what's for breakfast tomorrow. Can't be thinking about where you're going 10 years from now. Like, you need to be dealing with this mountain lion right here, right now. The problem with fear, though, is that when you're in the space where you have to make an important, intelligent decision and you want to show up well, you're working on this 1% better daily thing, and you want to show up well. You want to say the right things. You want to be blameless in your speech. You also want to set yourself on a good trajectory and not regret the way that this conversation that's ahead of you or this action that's ahead of you is going to go. When you're in that fear space, it's actually really hard to show up well, because in reality, let's say we have to have a conversation with our boss, that's very difficult, or we have to have a conversation with our spouse, that's really difficult. We're not fighting a mountain lion. This isn't life or death here. This is different. This requires different mental faculties. In 2 Timothy chapter 1, Paul says to Timothy, Paul being the mentor, saying to Timothy, "For God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of strength, courage, and of a sound mind." And that's powerful because he's not saying God didn't give you anything that is worth being afraid of, but that inside of you is something bigger than that. It's something that can stand up to it, because fear is a prerequisite for courage. You understand? Like, there's something that needs to be there that's worth being afraid of before you can show courage. The only thing that Paul doesn't say is how do we tap into that, right? Because there's several times in the biblical stories where like an angel appears to somebody, or maybe there's a particularly powerful prophet and they say, "Fear not." And it's always a funny command, right? If you're afraid of something, I think I said this to Gabriel recently. He was about to jump off of something, and I was like, "No, you got this. You're going to be just fine. You're going to land really strong. I know you can do this. Don't be afraid." It's a funny admonition, right? Because if you're afraid and somebody says, "Don't be afraid," you're like, I mean, yeah, why didn't I think of that? It doesn't work to tell somebody not to be afraid. It doesn't work to tell yourself not to be afraid. So here's something for you on Mindset Monday. If you're afraid and you're in that space where you're having conversations in your head and you're worried about the way things are going to go in the future, God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of strength, courage, and a sound mind. When your physical body downshifts to where all you can deal with is what's in front of you, then we have to give our opportunity to upshift, to come into that space that God's given each one of us. So I'm going to do it with you. You can do it with me. A very simple thing that you can do right here is to take a very, very deep breath 3 times. So we're going to do that. Are you ready? Here we go. There you go. That's 1. You got to carry them out. 2. When you're afraid, you can't breathe like that. 3. Do you feel that? Do you feel that in that space, the noise went away for just a second, and you gave yourself an opportunity to control your heart rate, to control your breath, to control your body, and suddenly the physiological fear response that was there goes away for a moment, and you can be present. And that is the mindset today. Fear not is a hard command, because if you're afraid and you got something difficult ahead of you, why wouldn't you be afraid? And somebody telling you not to is not going to fix anything. But one thing that you can do is you can take ownership of your body and you can breathe in this moment. You can take a moment to breathe. You can take a moment to control one of the few things that you can control. And what's so cool about breath is one of those things that is both controlled by your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. The part of you that you have control over can tell yourself to breathe. And the part of you that you don't have control over also tends to breathe when you're not thinking about it, which is good. And so when you take a moment to breathe, what happens is you take some of the things that you can't control within yourself and puts it under the control of some of the things you can control within yourself. And when you do that, you stop downshifting. Downshifting is the psychological term for giving up the ability to plan for the future and make intelligent decisions. Downshifting means I'm going to fight this mountain lion. I'm going to deal with that because it's really important and life-threatening and dangerous right now. When you breathe, when you take ownership of your breath, you take a moment to do that. Take a moment to do that. What you're doing is saying, look, there are things worth being fearful here. However, I'm going to give myself the best shot to show up better than I would have otherwise. And I believe that's one of the things that's wrapped up in that verse. For God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of strength and of courage and of a sound mind. So fear not. When you find yourself in a place that you have something to be afraid of, and that's worth being afraid of, take some breath, take some time. And when you face that thing head on, if you can't think of anything else, think about your breath. Breathe through it. And then say what you got to say. I promise you'll show up better than you would have otherwise. Guys, this has been Alex Van Houten in Mindset Monday for Better Daily Live. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm really looking forward to Tip Tuesday tomorrow as we go through how to feed ourselves well on this 1% betterment journey. Until next time, it's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for 1% Better today. Don't forget to subscribe for the podcast. Leave us a raving review to tell others how Better Daily has helped you in your journey. If you want more Better Daily, download our app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live. Use code POD to get 25% off your subscription. That's POD, all caps, to save 25% on your subscription. We all have a cross to carry. It's later when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.live today.